Okay. Hey, thank you so much for meeting with me. My name is Carly Rose Gardner, and I'm going to be doing the COPM interview, or it's known as the Canadian Occupational Performance Measure. I'm going to be keeping up with the little form right here, so I'll be writing and kind of just talking back and forth with you today to see if there's anything that, just to make sure it's a true reflection of your answers and how you actually feel. So this assessment is going to help to identify some things that you may want to work on, some things that we can work on together. These things include things that you want to do but maybe can't do, or things that you need to have done but are not able to do. Even expectations of what others think you should do but you're not able to do. So let's get started with you just telling me a little bit about your daily routine. What would that look like?
So I'm pretty busy in life right now. I was recently married, and we've recently moved in together. I'm working three jobs currently. I have two church jobs as well as working as a physical therapist. So my days are pretty busy, whether it's Monday, Tuesday, or if it's Saturday and Sunday. Doesn't matter what day it is. My days are relatively busy. So I enjoy each one of my jobs, but it seems like sometimes I have a touch of burnout due to the immense amount of time I've used lately with each job. So,
Okay, yeah. And so like, does your day feel full, meaningful, productive? Um, it seems like you're very busy, as I understood. And that can seem productive, but I just want your input on that. What does that look like for you?
yeah, so my work does feel meaningful. I enjoy, like I said, what I do. At times, though, it just seems like after prolonged periods of time, especially after a month's time, that time seems to slip away. There's not time for the little things like there used to be. And again, like I said, there seems to be some burnout with some aspects of my life.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to get a sense of how important these things are that you have talked about, and we're going to kind of categorize those things. So first off is caring for yourself in general. So are you able to care for yourself as far as like from morning to nighttime, and that can include anything as far as cooking for yourself, bathing, brushing your teeth, anything like that. Do you have any issues with any of those types of things?
As far as being able to take care of myself, I would say yes, but then again, it does feel rushed. There's not a certain time blocked off for anything. It just sort of happens as it goes.
Okay.
Of course, I like to be more streamlined and more, um, I guess, for lack of better words, just categorized with when I do things at home. That's just something I haven't done.
Yeah. So are you able to get around and do and go to the places that you need to go as far as work and home and to the church and things like that?
I'm able to, but it just goes back to the aspect of time. When I have time to do it, that's really the main thing right now.
Okay. And community integration, as far as, and all that means is you're able to be involved within your community. So go into the grocery store, go into church, things like that. And I know that seems very important to you. Are you able to do those things, or are you satisfied with how you do those things?
I'm satisfied, but I think there's always room for improvement in how I go about my day, how I prioritize things, and how I again spend time with each individual thing. I don't really put one of those in priority to others, but I would like to give each portion of my day that same importance, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. So we're going to go to the next category now, and it's productivity. So it's how productive you are within your day. And the first thing we're going to look at is your paid work versus like unpaid slash volunteer work. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how important that may be to you?
Yeah, so it seems like a lot of what I do sometimes is unpaid work. Um, Working with younger people or working outside of your normal job boundaries, there are some times where you're not working for a job. You're working more just helping kids in the community or helping um, with documenting after work. Um, there's a lot of times where that can be overwhelming and can really pay a toll on somebody because you feel like when you're working for somebody or doing things, you should be reimbursed for those things. But then again, a lot of times you're not. So,
Okay. Yeah. So, just to make sure I understood you correctly, um, helping kids in the community, how important would you rate that as far as one being not so important and 10 being very important? What would you?
well, as far as working with the church and doing youth and things like that, I feel like it's probably a 9 or 10. I mean,
Okay.
that's a
Yeah.
huge aspect of my job, and that's one of the parts of the job that I truly enjoy. So I would say really high.
Yeah. And so your paid work, which you're a physical therapist, how important is that job to you?
I mean, right next to working as a youth leader, I would say that's probably an 8 or 9 as well. I enjoy what I do. I don't feel like it's a job. That's why I enjoy working the hours that I do. But at times like now, though, it does seem overwhelming with as much as I have going on.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about managing your household. How is that going for you, and what does that look like? And you said you're recently married. What would some household management look like for you?
Um, as far as household management goes, it's I guess mediocre at best. I would say, I mean, 3 or 4 because I'm not home enough to manage the home. So it just sort of comes and goes. I mean, like I said, I get to do it when I can. I spent 4 hours of doing laundry this weekend just because I finally had time to do it because the last 3 weeks I haven't. So
Okay, yeah. And would you say laundry is one of the most important things to you in household management, or is there anything else that really stands out to you in that?
it's pretty important. A lot of times my wife is gone for school, so I'm having to maintain the laundry and maintain the household while she's gone because a lot of weekends she is gone. But it's something that I enjoy doing though. But then again, it never ends, so it's always something to do.
Yeah. So if you could rate that on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not so important and 10 being very important, what would you rate that one?
I'd say anywhere but like a 4 or 5.
Okay, perfect. Are you in school or involved in any type of academic continuing education, anything like that?
Not currently. I spent some time earlier in the year doing some continuing ed, but here recently, no, I've not done any continuing education.
Okay. And now we're going to go to the leisure portion, which means how do you spend your time outside of work and outside of, and it's basically how you spend your time in the ways that you want to spend your time. So, what does leisure activities look like for you?
I enjoy spending time like playing golf, lifting weights, spending time with my buddies, especially now with being married. I like to still spend times with my friends and things like that. Um, spending time with my brother. My brother recently had a nephew. He's 3 months old, so definitely spending time with he and his wife. That's also something I like to do on my weekends. Spending time with my sister. She's going to um, optometry school in the fall. So I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on in life right now. So
Yeah,
and I'm spending time with my new wife.
yeah.
That's very important as well.
Okay, yeah. So, lifting, you mentioned lifting weights and spending time with your friends. On a scale of 1 to 10, let's rate that on importance for you. So, lifting weights or exercising.
I mean, that's something I like to do at least 2 or 3 times a week, and it's pretty important to me. I would say it's probably an 8 or so out of 10 to be able to do
Okay.
that throughout the week.
Okay. Do you feel like you were able to lift weights and exercise the way that you want to right now in this season of life?
I'd say no, not the way that I would like to. And of course, being in college, I was able to go, 4 days a week, whereas now it's a task to do 2 days a week. So I mean, it's pretty difficult to do it as much as I would like to.
Yeah. Okay. What about spending time with your friends? You mentioned the next portion that we're going to talk about is socializing and spending time with those that mean the most to you. And you mentioned friends, nephew, brother, sister, sister-in-law, and your wife. How important are those relationships to you and to make sure that you can continue to interact in those relationships?
As far as interacting with those relationships, I mean, it's pretty important. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty social, like a extrovert myself. So when I'm by myself, not really spending time with anyone outside of work, it sort of gets to where I don't feel like myself. So I enjoy spending time with friends, and I like spending time with my wife. And I hope to continue those relationships in the next months and years.
Yeah, so it's higher up on your scale.
Right.
Could you give it a number?
I would say it's probably a 10 for those relationships. They're really important.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of run back through this really quick just to make sure that we're on the same page with some things. With self-care overall, you talked about personal care, but timely personal care is what was important to you. So being able to um, really do your grooming tasks, showering, um, things like that is really important to you as far as time goes. Making sure that you're doing
Mhm.
those in a timely manner. And we didn't rate that one, so if you could, would you give me a rating 1 to 10 on that one, how important that is for you?
Um, as far as grooming and just taking care of myself, I would say about like a 7.
Okay, and then the next portion, we talked about some productivity. So your physical therapy job was an 8 or 9 out of 10, and helping kids in your community is a 9 or 10. Household management. So you're not really home enough to participate in a whole lot of household management, but you do participate in doing laundry, and that was like a 4 out of 5 out of 10 of importance for you. And then with leisure, you have your recreational activities such as lifting weights, exercising, socialization of friends and family, engaging with friends and family. And lifting weights and exercising 2 to 3 times a week was an 8 out of 10 for you. And then socialization was a 10 out of 10. So that one was really important for you. And then quiet recreation, we talk about that a little bit. And so those are things that you do when you're kind of by yourself. And you mentioned that, and you said sometimes you don't feel like yourself when you're doing more quiet recreational activities. So that can kind of be isolating for you. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, nice. So we're going to move on to the next portion now. So I'm going to get you to rate your performance and your satisfaction with some of these things we've identified. So our first one was personal care, and then our second one was um, our unpaid work. Our third one was household management. Our fourth one was active recreation, and our fifth one was socialization. So now we're going to look at so we've already rated the importance of those things to you and identified this is kind of where these things are very important to you, but there's some things that you actually may struggle with just due to maybe not having the time or maybe having some burnout with how much you do have going on. So on a scale of 1 to 10, once again, performance wise, one not being able to do these things at all, and 10 being able to do them extremely well. With personal care, what would you rate that?
Probably about a 3.
3. Okay. What about for paid, unpaid work? So your physical therapy job, and helping the kids out in the community. Are you able to do that, or are you able to do it extremely well, or are you not able to do that at all?
I'll probably say a 3 again.
Okay. What about household management? So are you not able to do it at all? Or are you able to do it extremely well on that scale?
Probably about a 2.
Okay. Active recreation. So that's the one we talked about with you being able to lift weights and exercise and kind of golfing was one of your important things. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate that one for performance wise?
Well, probably again about a 3.
Okay. And then socialization. Are you on a scale of 1 to 10, are you not able to socialize at all, or are you able to do that extremely well?
I'd say about a 4.
Now we're going to go into more of the satisfaction with all these things. Like, how satisfied are you with the way that you do these things? So, with your personal care, such as your showering, your grooming, all those types of things, on a scale of 1 to 10, one, you're not satisfied at all with the way that you do these things, or 10, you're extremely satisfied. What would you rate personal care?
4.
4, okay. And then your physical therapy job or um, helping the kids out in the community.
6.
Okay. Household management tasks. So doing your laundry, doing things around the house.
5.
Okay. Active recreation, such as your golfing and your exercising. How satisfied are you with that right now?
5.
And then with your engaging with friends and family, how satisfied are you on that scale with that?
4.
Okay. So all I'm getting here is just a little bit of data and numbers from this. And this is all great. And it looks like there's room for improvement on this, which is this huge. And that's why I'm here. And that's why we're doing this, is so that we can progress and hopefully get your satisfaction rates for these things that are very meaningful to you and get those satisfaction rates up. Because we want you to be very satisfied in the things that are super meaningful to you. Okay. So, with these being said on here, we're going to establish you some goals now. We put all this together and we work together to see after a certain amount of time if we can make a difference with these things. Ultimately, I'm here to stand beside you, listen to you, work with you, and improve your satisfaction and engagement in meaningful activities and the things that you want to do and need to do on a daily basis. So, long-term goal, we could look at maybe, and you can kind of conversate back and forth with me on this. Maybe developing and maintaining some type of work-life balance to prevent your burnout, and so that you're able to engage and do more things that you want and need to do. So that can be our ultimate goal at the very end, our long-term goal. Within 3 to 6 months is what we could say on that one. Does that sound okay with you? Is there anything
Sounds
you want to
good.
add specifically?
I mean, that sounds good. It's one of those things where you don't really want to ever put pen to paper and try to figure things out. You sort of just keep going till the wheels fall off. And I'm glad now to have somebody that can sort of direct me in the direction I need to go.
Yeah, yeah. And we can change things as it goes. We can adapt to whatever you need us to adapt to. Also with your goals. So to reach that long-term goal, we have to have short-term goals. And so some short-term goals that we could practice and kind of put into play in your everyday life to see if it will help to reach your long-term goal. Maybe practicing some self-care. So you already talked about exercising. And maybe finding some hobbies or some journaling and kind of marking out that specific time, maybe an hour a day, 30 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day for you and you only to kind of decompress and figure out what it is that you're wanting to do and needing to do. Um, Also tracking some stressors for you, maybe recognizing patterns of fatigue, stress, dissatisfaction, and then that way you're able to respond early and not necessarily take it all in and bottle it up and then save it, and then you experience this burnout. And then another short-term goal could be some time management strategies and that. So saying no when it's appropriate. I know that can be very difficult sometimes, especially with all the roles that you play right now. Doing some calendar blocking or calendar organization. So really getting you a calendar and organizing your days and your time well, and then prioritizing the things that mean the most to you. You have any feedback on any of those?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So we will look back at this in a couple of weeks, couple of months, and see how you're doing on your short-term goals and your long-term goals. But if you have any questions or if you need anything between now and then, you have my email, and so um, hopefully we can work with you and get you more satisfied in how you perform your daily activities and these things that we've addressed today.
Well, thank you for your help and thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.